Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to connect a Micro 850 to EasyBuilder Pro. We're going to import the tags and create a simple project that can connect to our controller. So in most cases, I learn the software beforehand and then I come and make a tutorial about it for you guys. But this is a little bit different because I've just touched CCW for the first time about 10 minutes ago. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning episode for both of us. But one thing I'm not too worried about is navigating new software. So I'm going to open our computer that has Connected Components Workbench and EasyBuilder Pro. And the reason why I'm not worried is because we have a set of connection guides, PLC connection guides on our forum, on our website. You can find them in both of those locations. They're detailed guides that typically go over the step-by-step instructions to connect our software to your third-party device. And we have one right here for the Micro 850 I'm going to reference. So the first step in connecting our Micro 850, it's not listed here, but we actually have to give it power. So let me give it power here. And we'll need an Ethernet cable. And then I'll just pop that into our PC here. And our Micro 850's all booted up. Now, the one thing I'm not going to show in this tutorial is setting the IP address on this device. It's already been set. I'm going to assume, if you're looking to connect the two, that you've already set the IP address here on your Micro 850. So mine's at 192.168.1.90, so you'll see me reference that IP in the video here. As far as our PLC connection guide goes, since there's not specific settings that we need to enable within our controller in order to make sure that we can communicate with the device, we can actually start off just by navigating our project file that we have yet to make, and then exporting those tags to EasyBuilder Pro. So let's jump into CCW and I'll create a new project, and I'll leave the default name here, project 7. Select our controller. This is the 24QWB, and I'm leaving the version, the controller firmware version, I believe this is the firmware version, to 22. Just because my colleague had asked me to keep it at 22. That's the only reason. All right, so first things first, let's create a couple variables. So I guess I'll just open our global variables, and I guess I'll just call this GBLXN. So I made a few variables here, our GBLXN, GBLXout, just because for testing purposes, whenever I get a new controller that I have to learn how to connect to, I always like to make sure that I use just a few simple variables. So it could be just a numeric variable like an int or a dint. Sometimes I just like to make a contact and a coil. Sometimes I can get away with just making contact, but some PLC softwares like us to have a contact and a coil, or it actually going out to something. So I'm going to just assume that's the case for this and create a simple program with that, in fact. So now I'll create a new program. Add. It's actually really intuitive software. There we go. So now we have a simple program and we're ready to download this to our Micro 850. All right. And as I mentioned, I had touched the software just a few minutes before. I just wanted to make sure that my computer was on the same network as the Micro 850. Actually, when I go to connection path, I saw in here that the IP previously used was 192.168.1.190. And so I made sure, just using the command line here, that RPC is on the same subnet, so it's 192.168.1.180 here for our PC, and this is 190. And then I also double checked. This is another really helpful tip, that I could ping the PLC. So if you can't ping the PLC, you can't communicate. Obviously, the PLC download is not going to work, but both of those turn out to be good. The only other thing I want to do before we do a official download here is I am going to set the IP address of the controller before I download to it with it set to DHCP, and then we no longer have an IP, because then we'll have to do some other things in this tutorial, and I don't want to do. And find our controller, and it's thinking, still thinking. A lot of anticipation. I'm going to open Easy Builder Pro while that's still downloading. And I'll select a project file for any HMI. So almost all of our HMIs support the same drivers. There's only a few drivers that are exclusive to certain series. In this case, I'll use the CMT3072XP. Again, not for a particular reason. Actually, the only particular reason is that I have one sitting somewhere back there. So I can pull it up and we can connect the two in a little bit here. And in the system parameters, I'll select new device/server. And we're going to want to make sure that our Rockwell Micro 850 free tag names Ethernet driver is selected. So that's in the device drop-down list. So again, you open a new project, the system parameters opens automatically, or we can go to the home tab and select system parameters, and then click new device/server. In the device type drop-down list, we'll select the center and then search for Rockwell. This is in the case that you don't already have this driver popping up like I do. And you'll just want to select the Micro 850 free tag names Ethernet driver, assuming you're going to use Ethernet. And I'll set our IP using the settings button here. And let me refer back to our connection guide. So we have a few specific models that support multiple service packet protocol if the firmware versions are upgraded. I don't think we need to use that in this case, so I'm going to leave that option. They're referring to this option here, disabled. There are a few communication settings down below. I rarely discuss these, but really the turnaround delay and resending commands, you can pretty much almost always leave these at their default values, which are typically 0 for every driver. They're only to be used in very, very rare cases. So I'm going to leave them at their default values. And then also this port number here, this is the default port for Ethernet IP. Don't need to change it, so we're just going to leave it as is as well. And I'll click OK once more. And you'll see that the driver is added here, but we need to import our tags. So before we can import our tags, we need to export our tags. And as soon as this program is running and downloaded, we can do that. Okay. So now we'll go to device. Hold on. Let's refer back to this PLC connection guide. Let me show you where I got this PLC connection guide. If you go to our forum, you'll see PLC drivers listed at the top here. If you select this option, you'll come to a giant list. These are the most common drivers that we see our customers use here in North America. There are some devices or some drivers and devices that we can communicate with, but you just won't find in here. You can use the link up here at the top to actually find those. But I mean, obviously, the most common drivers used here are the Rockwell or Allen Bradley drivers. So they're listed right here at the top. And among them, you'll find that Micro 850 Ethernet free tag names driver. So if you select the instructions/download option here, this little PLC instructional PDF will download and you can open it. So let's jump down to our export and import tags. So to export controller tags, we'll right click the Micro 800 controller icon in the project organizer. Right click this and we'll select export variables, and we have a couple other miscellaneous tag files. We'll just call this tags2. Don't need to view it, I don't think. Let's go into EB Pro and we'll select import tags. Keep the option as XLS or XLSX and click OK. And then we'll select tags 2. And you'll see here in this menu in our tag manager, we can select what tags that we want to import. If I had more tags other than the 2 that I just created, we could obviously select a few more, but I don't have that right now. So we'll just select these 2. And I'll click OK for binary access. We don't have any ints or synths, so it doesn't really apply to us. But if we did, we should be able to access the bit data within them. Now I will select a object select the object tab and click toggle switch. And then we'll select GVLX in. And then I'll click OK, and we'll just place this down on our work area. So this is part of that simple test where we test just one tag with the device. We usually try it through online simulation first to see if it works. So I'll run an online simulation. We'll just save I'll just call this new project. And the project will automatically, it's saved, but it will automatically compile, and then it will load a simulation. And when online simulation is used, you're actually communicating online with the controller. Offline is when there's no controller connected, so that's why I chose online in this scenario. And we can see that the bit lamp, the toggle switch is booted up. So now if I open CCW next to it, and I click on this, we can see our rung change color because GVLXN is actually turning true. And that's all there is to it. There's not a lot else covered in the PLC connection guide. A couple notes. So if you're connecting to this controller, definitely review it, but it's a relatively easy setup. Thank you for watching.